these two again. Pixel Broccoli with Zach and Evan.
uh, Welcome to Pixel Broccoli. I'm Zach and Evan.
Evan Ken Rosie. Here we are.
And yep. And we also have Brock.
Is this thing on? Hey, everyone.
So perfect. So so today I think we wanted to kind of dive into something a little bit different. Let me just ask you more of a personal question, Evan. Like, have you ever bought or built anything that you thought was really cool, but then later on you're like, yeah, this isn't that great, but you're kind of afraid to admit it?
With AI or just in general?
Just in general.
My portfolio site.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about it.
It's your typical, like you polish it up. I got Framer not too long ago, maybe like, year or two ago. And I just kind of started messing around with it. And I started figuring out all the capabilities were way more fun to play with as opposed to putting in actual content for what I want to showcase. So I kind of felt like I put that out there, but I was like, oh, shit, this is more flashy, not something I would actually want to show to like a hiring manager if I was trying to get a job. So I kind of got sucked into like the feature functionality and making things look cool and like figuring out interactivity and design as opposed to like this is actually useful. So yeah, like I rely more on like past webinars I did than my portfolio site.
So is it because you were like you kind of fed into the hype you felt, or was it just
Yeah, I think it's like I think every designer just goes through the whole they want to redesign their site after a while, it gets stale and outdated and you want to get it current. So that was kind of part of it. And then when I got into it, I was realizing like one, I don't really need to update it right now. I think I just got caught up in at the time, Framer was pushing out a bunch of new features and I wanted to test them out. And then I'm like, oh, I can kill two birds with one stone and redo my portfolio site. So yeah, I think I got caught up with the hype and I just feel like it's like now I just have a flashy site, but it doesn't really provide that much value. So like someone would have to talk to me if they want to get the real expertise of what I do as opposed to looking at my site.
interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've built a few sites myself, and I've kind of gone off the deep end, if you will, to try to like, oh, I'm going to do these really cool things. And funny enough, in the development world, we used to build websites, and we would add like special messages in the code. So like if
Yeah.
somebody, because usually when you're checking somebody's portfolio, at least in the dev side, you would go in there and say like, okay, let me right click and inspect and see how well they've actually used the code. And we would add like little nuggets in there or whatever you want to call it, like Easter eggs. So it's like if you're looking, you would actually see these little Easter eggs in the code itself.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like you mentioned that because at some point I switched to Squarespace and it was just kind of like, look, I don't I don't need to show off all this anymore, and I just preferred to use something that works instead of trying to fight it the whole time.
Yeah.
So
But you know what to look for. So even when you're building through Squarespace, I feel like you can still, it's a drag and drop editor, just like a bunch
mhm.
of them. But I feel like you've kind of miss the fact that you used to manually have to hard code or manually have to actually build it yourself, as opposed to now it's just so easy.
For me, I don't particularly miss it, to be honest with you. It's just
Okay.
like for Squarespace, I sell things on my website. So I
Yeah.
like building like an e-commerce website, dealing with, payment information and all that kind of like checkout stuff. Like I just didn't want to build it. Like I'm for a simple thing like Pixel Broccoli and pixelbroccoli.com, like, we can throw something together pretty quickly
Yeah.
because it's really just like a landing page and that's fine.
Right.
But for my own like bigger stuff where I want to sell things like sell plans and whatnots and maybe even have a blog, I didn't want to do all that myself. It was too much work.
Yep. I don't blame you.
Plus, like when you buy into something like a Squarespace or Wix or name whatever Framer, they're constantly making improvements to their application that you can just kind of absorb those improvements.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You know, but thinking about something that I bought not long ago, and I'm kind of like I don't want to admit that I bought it and like because I like it is cool, but then I don't want to admit that I bought it. I don't use it. Is I bought a drone recently. Like
Okay.
so, yeah. So like because I'm really big into photography and videography and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, I want a drone. That's really cool. And I like flew it around my house and all the stuff that you would typically do and went out into a big field, got used to flying it and all that kind of stuff and done some really cool stuff with it. And I still use it from time to time. But what I found out was it's harder than you think to not only fly it, but it's also harder than you think to find places to fly it.
Oh,
Because
you need to get licensing or permit, right? Like, depending on
well,
where you go?
depending on where you go, and DJI does a pretty good job to build like that geo fence around where you can and can't fly.
Yeah.
But there's also additional things like I like to camp a lot and going to like campsites. Some of the state parks, or actually all the state parks here in Georgia, don't allow you to fly a drone in the state park. You can fly over the state park, but you can't fly in the state park. So you can't take off or land inside the state park boundary. So it's like, well, darn it! Like that's why I wanted to get it was because when we go camping, I wanted to fly above our campsite and show everybody
Yeah.
all that stuff. So unfortunately, it's just something that hasn't been very useful in the long term. And recently, I actually bought a Insta360 camera. And to be honest with you, the Insta360 is so much better usability wise than a drone because I can like driving down the road, you can hang it out the window, you have a selfie stick, and it kind of gives you that drone feel without actually being a drone, if that makes sense.
It does. Does it motion follow you? I'm trying to think if my buddy's got the same camera. He has I thought it was the Insta360. He's a BMX rider, so when he bikes, he
Mhm.
plants it, it's fixed, but as he rides, it'll follow him? Or is
Mhm.
that yeah,
You can do that. You can do it with the Insta360. It's in post. You can highlight an area and it will follow exactly that. So if it's a person, a face,
yeah.
a tire on a car, it'll follow it for sure.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty sweet. And it actually uses I don't know why they did this. This is actually pretty good for Pixel Broccoli as well, is it uses AI to do a lot of that. But it's only in the mobile app. It's not in the desktop app, which I find kind of odd.
Yeah.
Why they put all the effort in the mobile app and not desktop. So you kind of have to do all of your editing, if you will, in your on your mobile app with Insta360, and then you export as just a regular MP4, and then you can bring that into any other editor after that.
Okay. Yeah, he uses CapCut. So I use CapCut as well. I don't know if you use
Mhm.
that. It's
Mhm.
like a very, light version of like Premiere. You can do it on your
Sure.
phone. But,
Right.
same concept, kind of how you're shifting it from one thing to another.
Mhm.
But, you know, never got into the drone thing, but I think I'm the only one of my friends, now including you, that doesn't have a drone. I think it's the fear of it, like you said it, because I'm scared I wouldn't use it, like, I and see, going into the camera thing, man, like, I have a DSLR, right? Old, like a Nikon D7000, it's like
Okay.
10,
Sure.
maybe 12 years old,
Sure.
and it was cheap. It was like $400 for the body, and I have like a cheap 35 millimeter lens, and I used to shoot weddings, so that's what I used. And I haven't touched it because I just use my phone now. And it's like at the time, sometimes I tell myself, I'm like, I think I'm due for a new DSLR because mine's so dated and antiquated.
Mhm.
But I just every time I go, I take a family trip with the wife and kid, I use my phone and I make quick edits like an Instagram. I never touch my DSLR. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have a I have a D50, which is pretty old school. I have a D300 Nikon, and I think it's a D3000 Nikon as well. Where I like that one because the screen flips around. It's a DSLR, but it flips around, and when I'm doing
LCD.
like like selfie shots or whatever, I can actually look at the screen.
Right. Yeah.
Like you said, like at this point, like using an Insta360 with AI computational videography or I like the DJI Pocket Osmo. That thing is pretty powerful as well.
Yeah.
Or your phone. It's like, dude, like it's so hard to justify using a DSLR unless you want to go through that extra effort. And it's like, how much does that actually benefit you in the long run? It's like, is it really worth the extra effort to show that it's a DSLR? Sure, you get some really cool bokeh shots and cool depth of field, but you can mimic that for the most part these days with
In
computational
post,
photography.
definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe if you're a commercial photographer, I get it, studio lighting and there's still some benefits. DSLRs have control over the iPhones, but I mean, we're like right there. I feel like we're really close to just, people are going to be shooting weddings with iPhones. But, for us, like hobbyists, I don't know. I don't know if I need it. Like it's, back to the Framer website. Like I could have just I mean, I have the free account, so it's not like I spent any money, but I didn't need to do all that. It's just I guess it was kind of just I was having fun with it and I wanted to just experiment. But for cameras, like I get the itch and I'm like, okay, just do you need it? No. Do you want to spend the money? No. So I just use my phone.
Yeah, totally. I
Yeah.
wonder what, let's see if Brock has anything to talk about in this.
Yeah, it's on. You've said that 3 times now.
Oh. Thanks. Thanks, Brock. All right. And, let's see. Let's see if he has any idea.
On what, Zach? You haven't told me anything yet?
Okay, well, he's lost. Apparently, Brock is lost somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Come around.
he'll come around in a second. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to lead into that and into like AI features. Like, do we find ourselves like building something, too fast because we're like, oh, we need to be quick to the market with something like this, and then we're like, well, that wasn't even useful. Like, do you have any examples of that? Like using AI to build something that hasn't even been useful?
Not like a specific feature that I can think of. I think it kind of is a you can look at it negatively in both perspectives. Like one perspective being using AI just to use it to create something in product and then also shipping a feature that's AI. Like, something with other than just like a chat thing, right? Like I think we're past those days. There's no more just chat features. It's like you could do so much with AI. So shipping a feature that's got an AI stamp on it and it's not a chatbot is like gold to people. They're just like, "Oh, it's AI feature. I want it." Right? So that's like the perspective too, but the perspective one is like I can't think of a specific example right now off the top of my head, but just generally speaking, I don't jump straight to AI for certain things that I'm doing now. Like I used to do that. I'm like, okay, I want to use Copilot or I want to use ChatGPT or I want to use Gemini for imagery or I want to use, like something in Teams that's using AI. I kind of just think like, what am I doing? And then do I just need to open a Miro board and just map something out the old school way with some notes before I actually like jump into using an AI feature? So like I guess I don't know if this really answers your question, but it's to me it's more of like shipping an AI feature is one thing and then building with AI, I'm trying to be super selective in when I use it, not just because it's available, but when it actually makes sense for me.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I've played around with like Figma's to canvas kind of a feature where you
Code.
can you can actually yeah, you can actually have it like in code or like you're in your Copilot or something like that and say, "Hey, build this out." Um, you know, some type of graph or something like that. And you can go into FigJam and build out like this graph. It's cool, but then it's like, well, I want to change it, and then every time you want to change it, it doesn't have. At least I haven't figured out how it has connection to the original drawing, so then it recreates it every time. So, like, I was trying to do
Oh
a
my
I
goodness.
was trying to do, like, a flow chart recently, and every time I asked it to make a change, it would make a yet another flow chart. I'm like, "No, no, I want you just to tweak the flow chart that's there." Like I asked it to build something, like a whole flow, and I was like, "Okay, now add this to the flow," and it's like, "Oh, I wanna build something new." It's like, "No, well,"
Even in like, in the prompt, you would say alter or edit or manipulate, and it would still just give you a new one?
at least in my experience, yes, that's what happened
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, and it's like at that point, do you kind of just say, screw it? Like, I'm going to just, you know, go back to, or try to find a different way to do it? Or do you keep trying to refine it until it gets what, you're trying to do?
I mean, yeah, for me, it was more of a, okay, then I'm just going to have to take what they built and kind of massage it within FigJam,
Yeah.
until the way I want it. But I felt like the benefit would be so that I can prompt and do it. But maybe Figma's got some different thoughts around it inside of FigJam. Once you're actually in FigJam, you could prompt it. I don't know, but
Yeah. I mean,
that
that's generative, right? Like that's kind of tapping into, like the core features of FigJam. I used it for the workshop I did recently at UXDX, and it was very effective. I was on the spot live with people, so I didn't want it to screw up. So I used it to do things like summarize sticky notes, right? Very straightforward. You could do that, no problem. I didn't do any data visualizations or anything like that. And then the way I used Claude was pretty straightforward and bulletproof. You know what I mean? So, like, those are the areas that I knew AI wouldn't screw up on. But the stuff that you're doing, it's like complex, can get technical. And, at some point, you feel like you're spinning your wheels so much. It's like, what's the point of doing it this way when you just change it?
yeah, and I was like, oh, I'll just add another box, another arrow, another connector. I'm like, okay,
Right.
it's like I was there after that, but it was just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be a really cool feature though to sit there and be able to, and I'm sure there's some out there. I just haven't played around with them, but some type of AI prompting that allowed me to build a flow chart that just
Yeah.
start thinking through stuff like that in that way.
Yeah. But that's the cool thing is like, I feel like you have a lot of, you're I said this on the last one, right? Like you have a lot of experience in a bunch of different areas. You're a designer and you're a developer, right? So you kind of feel like you have, this box of methods that you have, and like some of them work, some of them don't work. So you just kind of cherry picking, like, okay, maybe it didn't work for this flow chart, but you have other ways that you use AI that might be different than other people, right? So like what do you think are like, what are your favorite things to actually use AI for? Career related or just in general?
I mean, I use AI for all kinds of things, but I will say something that was relatively recent that I used AI for that I think was kind of an interesting take. I need to plant grass in my backyard. We've just had some construction done. Need to plant some grass. Put down fertilizer. Blah blah blah. And I know I've seen some ads around Sunday. I think it's called Get Sunday,
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
which is pretty sweet. But I was playing around with it, and it told me based on my zip code, it told me what kind of like pH level of my ground is, if I'm lacking calcium and magnesium. It kind of knew all that, and you could send in a sample and get an actual sample. But what I did was I took screenshots of all that data and copied it all over to Claude and create a new project and say, hey, this is my lawn care project. And it read in all that data and created a plan for me. Um, and I tied it into Google Calendar, and it created me a like an event in my Google Calendar of when I should plant grass, when I need to do fertilizing, when should I add calcium, magnesium, and that kind, and lime, stuff like that, right? So I was like, man, this is cool. so,
Yeah. But
so
that's
we'll,
like that's the thing. So that's a really creative approach where I almost feel like, why are we not doing that more within our careers? I know it's kind of a weird way to pull it back to product, but like, it's like it's not necessarily tied to like you found this way to, whatever. It's going to give you like the best 3-in-1 grass seed to use, or like better ways to do lawn care. Um, you know, I kind of feel like we're trying to like I'm trying to figure out the best ways to use those types of methods like within product, where it's not just, I'm going straight to a vibe coding tool and going to push something to production, like I haven't used it in my personal life, like the ways that you do it. I'm still kind of like mainly using AI at work, but it's just for me, it's just really hard to figure out. Like I feel like everyone's just doing the same thing, like the same type of process, and I want to be like someone that stands out, just like what you just explained. Like that to me is a creative approach, and it's just I feel like it's it's kind of becoming cookie cutter, at least like from what I've seen, where everyone's kind of trying to do the same thing in their own path. And it's really hard to like move forward and try to find like a new way to use AI that's actually effective, you know?
Yeah, and I wonder what Brock has to say about.
Not my department, but if you're asking because you want to know about I've got opinions.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious on what Brock thought about lawn care, but he's saying it's not his
He
department.
sounds like he sounds like he'd have like a very well kept lawn.
You would think so, right? You would think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting because I mean, obviously, we built a lot of Pixel Broccoli and the Brock app around AI, and you know, constantly making improvements to that and whatnot. So, but I think, like you said, it's kind of cookie cutter, right? I think that's the first thing people think about is like AI. Oh, I can make images and I can make, I can build code. I can build me a website,
Yeah.
and that makes sense. But what are some unique ways of using AI? Like, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like, just thinking about, like, some of the trailblazers at work, I think, the Replit thing was pretty interesting for a while. I think there were a lot of really good attempts on how to try to bring that through the production layers, and even though we didn't find a lot of success, like, it's really cool to kinda just see people pulling together third-party tools to try to make it happen, especially through all the red tape that we gotta go through. Those efforts are like, they're there. People are proactive in trying to figure it out. But
But like outside of that, like to me, that still feels kind of like a maybe I'm wrong, but like a typical path. Like,
yeah,
what are some ways that you could use AI for something that's completely off the wall?
yeah. Oh man, you put me on the spot. Um, yeah,
Like I
that's
like I used it recently, again, like in by no means this is should be, used as the end all be all, but I took some my blood pressure for like 3 or 4 days straight, and I prompted AI like, "Here's my last 4 days, and what are you seeing? Like, what are you s am I do I have any issues? Are you, where can I make improvements?" That kind of thing. So I can see it starting to get into more of the health aspect of things. But again, it's like this kind of dangerous territory, right? Because it could tell you something wrong. Then you're like, oh, I'm fine. And then, you know, next thing you know, something's wrong and you're in a hospital.
yeah. But they are using it. My sister's a pediatrician and my brother-in-law's an ER doctor, and you can't avoid it's just like us, like, it just got thrown into whatever career that you're at, right? You just have to pick it
Right.
up. So, they're doing the same thing, but they're reading X-rays, and it's like a second opinion, but the cool thing that they're telling me is, like, for cancer diagnosis, they're able to detect it before a human would, which is interesting. Like, my sister was telling me, I think recently that, like, you could see, like a lung scan, and to the human eye, it might be hard to detect that there's like a node or something, but AI would be able to detect like where that might develop based on a certain pattern within the X-ray, which is really cool. So like that's pretty monumental where, it still needs insight into making sure that that's actually what's happening. But the fact that it kind of can get ahead of it, is pretty cool. So I think it, depending on how you look at it, it's very beneficial in the medical industry. But I don't really know like to that extent, like how they're managing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really cool to know more about that. And I assume it has to do with, context and knowing that these particular things have happened in the past which cause cancer, or these are the signals to look for or what have you. um but yes, that's a really cool use case for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had another case, and I'm sure you've done this too, recently, where I was under my RV and trying to fix a staircase. Out of all things, the motor went bad, and I took a picture of the motor with the sticker, and I just asked AI like, "Hey, what motor is this? What are the common problems that happen with this motor?" And it gave me some insight, and I was able to use that to do a diagnostic on is my motor bad, or is it, or is it something else? So I ran through that and did some testing with my voltmeter, and I was like, okay, cool. So it's a bad motor. So I ordered the parts I needed, for it.
Yep.
Um, like that's like to me, it's like that saved me so much research time, and I was already in the right ballpark before we even got started. I think that was another really unique use case.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, I wouldn't even have thought to think like, I know AI has been, around for a good amount of time, but just thinking that it could detect screenshots and be able to give you like a, like a diagnostic. I did the
Mhm.
same thing with my my water heater when it busted. I took pictures of it and it was just giving me recommendations on like cleaning the filters and certain things to well, not filters, but like it would tell me, okay, like based on the screenshot, like you need to replace the valve, or same thing with my furnace, right? Like that's what I meant. Or when I was flipping to my furnace, like I could just literally upload screenshots and it would just give me recommendations on what to fix. Um, but you could do that. I mean, cars, anything, right? Like it just the fact that it's able to detect imagery.
Mhm.
But I mean that's like the
So
norm. That's the norm now. It's just that's what's available.
yeah, it's really powerful, really, really powerful. I want to see what Brock has to say here.
I'm a broccoli, Zach. My day-to-day is sitting in a crisper waiting to be roasted, so no.
So Brock doesn't use
No,
AI.
yeah, I mean,
Um, that's good to know. At least one of us doesn't use AI.
yeah. I will say that I try to avoid using AI in its entirety when I'm making music. Um,
Okay.
I'm all instrument. Like my DAW is Logic Pro, so I just guitar, bass. Like I do DI, direct input, right into my workstation. But I don't use AI for anything like vocals, synths, nothing. Like I use something called Diva for my synths and my other like whatever I'm using on top of my main instruments. I just lately I haven't used AI for any of it, just music.
Okay.
Just keep that. And it's funny, we were talking about Suno not too long ago. And
Mhm.
Suno's fun for like just messing around, but I wouldn't seriously try to use that if I'm like making professional music.
I think music. I mean, this could actually warrant an episode in itself. But I mean, music. Like, there's so much more. I think music is similar to images or photography or imagery. Is like there's copyright that's associated with it, and like you could get yourself in a lot of trouble stealing somebody else's like painting or drawing, or same thing with music, right? Like that's just a completely different thing. Like how does copyright lawyers handle that kind of stuff like that? I would
I
be
don't
curious to know that.
And it's really there's a lot of blur there because even aside from people stealing each other's music, you can also like I'm sure Suno's only one of them. Any of these music apps that you can upload clips to and it can recreate it, but it steals the melody for what you're using. So I could take like AC/DC and upload
Sure.
it and it will just take the melody and then just, maybe change a vocal line or something like that, and then you can just pass that off as your own. So I have no idea how they're monitoring it, but it's like again, it's totally cool to it's fun, it's available, it's like
Right.
fantastic that you could do this, but I would never slap my name on it, title it, and put it out as my own.
I mean, like I said, like within amongst friends, sending it as a meme or something like that, sure. But like
Yeah,
turning it into something to make money, like for a
yeah,
living, that's where it gets dangerous.
yeah. Like I'd
I
rather
think
use it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think I've seen YouTube and some other platforms like not paying like monetizing videos that are all AI driven. Same thing with music. They're
Yeah.
not giving them the click revenue because
Right.
it's all AI driven.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know like where that's heading. I try to stay out of it. I mean, I use it like for fun, but I try to stay out of it. Just anytime I want to make something legit,
Yeah.
I just avoid it.
I think that's
But
great
yeah,
for sure.
it's therapeutic. Just like us having a conversation is therapeutic. Making music is therapeutic. Just kind of you just
Right.
get to lock in, think about stuff, get creative, and just like you literally can make. I mean, what your woodworking background? I'm sure when you're kind of doing a project, throw on your headphones, listen to some music or a podcast, and then just kind of work. It's the same thing with music. You know, you're just
Yeah.
dialed in.
Yeah, I think that's a big delineation from the AI world is like we can't get away from that, I don't know, that kind of like mindset, if you will. Like it's what's the point of using AI to build music if the whole reason why you're doing it in the first place is to kind of, let out your creative abilities, right? And start to iterate through that and work through problems or whatever it might be. Like this AI just like remove all that from you, like that joy in a way.
Yeah, kind of does. Unless you're fooling yourself where you're taking an AI suggestion. Maybe you can argue that you can assemble it in a certain way that's your own. But that's the same with anything, like, if AI generates an image for me and I change the guy's hair color, like, is that my work or is that AI's work? I don't know. At least if you're doing it from scratch, and I'm not saying, like, we can't, we use AI in everything, right? It's for certain tasks, I still think you can call it your own, but anything in the very deep weeds of the creative industry, I just personally feel like I wanna make it all me. Like, I wanna have my name on it 100%, especially if I'm putting it out there as my own. I would think I don't wanna speak for you, but I would think, again, I just go back to your woodworking. If AI could, well, I don't know. You tell me, like, if AI, you can use that in, like, a water jet and, prompt it to make something that like, originally have to manually kind of configure yourself. I don't know. Is that
Yeah. Like I have a CNC machine but I mean it's just like design. You could if it's a vector design, you can use that with your CNC or your laser or your water jet,
Yeah.
but you could be using AI to make the design.
Yeah.
But AI, at least at this point, for the home consumer, AI is not gonna be running the actual machinery.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's a nice part of it, I guess, is it's not gonna be, taking jobs that you have to use your hands to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of wonder, like back to our original kind of question about like constantly like, oh, we need to use AI for this, use AI, build this, build that, be faster. Like, are we just doing it to check a box or are we actually using it effectively? Like,
I think I optimistically think we're at the latter now, which I feel pretty good about, and I'm curious your input on this. Um, in the beginning, I think it was just to check the box, and it was also exciting, like, just the fact that we have the capability, it's incredible. We have calls every day about just everybody's vibe coding, everybody's a designer, everybody's sort of an engineer, right? Now I feel like we're kind of at that point where it's becoming so much work and token cost that we're starting to dial it back. So I kind of feel like we talked about this last time, but I kind of feel like now we're kind of, realizing the effort involved and the cost involved. So like we're kind of, I don't want to say we're going back, but I just kind of feel like there's more of a dependency on that collaboration piece within humans, you know? Like I'm still missing, like, I kind of miss working in the office, if I'm to be honest with you, cuz like I still kind of miss going in and seeing people and having meetings and just like whiteboarding manually. Like that's still home to me. Um and I am seeing some of that, but I don't know. The whole like hook, I kind of feel like people just realized it's not like where we all thought it was going to be like 6 months ago.
yeah, and I wonder too, though, is like, are certain companies kind of lagged behind that thought process? Like, in a sense, like the forefront folks with the AI, like we're hearing it left and right where, you know, companies like Uber or Microsoft or whoever is like cutting spending on AI or they've run out of budget using AI. Um, like are they on the forefront seeing these problems and already changing direction like going forward in their next fiscal or whatever? And then there's other companies that are like, "Oh, we're now catching up," right? It's always like this lag when it
Yeah,
comes to this kind of stuff, right? Where AI now is, I don't know, at your local mom and pop. And it's like,
right.
wait, I didn't know AI made it down this far. Like, that's crazy, right? But
Yeah,
it's usually a couple years behind where they're using something that we're way past at this point.
right.
So I just wonder, like, are companies making the wrong decision too fast, or they're lagged behind not knowing the right decision going forward, if that makes sense. um but yeah, I mean, I agree with you that I think we're starting to see people use it more effectively, um especially with costs. And I've seen it come up multiple times where teams, like, you still need to know how to use the tool. Like, AI is a very powerful tool, but you still need to know how to use it. And I know I've said this before, but if you just everybody has the hammer now, that doesn't necessarily mean we know how to build a house.
Yeah. And
So
I don't know the direction change though. Like that's the scary part is I think we're kind of at this I think we know it's kind of turning and we know that, like we just said, like the costs, the dependencies, the effort, it's not really this perfect solution, in any which way that you slice it. But I don't know the direction it's taking. And I don't know the solution either, which is like kind of scary. It just I know my domain. I know what I'm in charge of. I know I can use AI effectively in like six areas if I'm just like putting out a checklist, right? Like I use it to, quickly sometimes summarize notes in Miro, or I still use it in Figma, but that's it. Like that's my domain. Big picture, I don't really know, like, how companies are taking on all this debt, the extra billing. I'm not really sure, like, where we're heading, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, at least at this point.
You're describing exactly what that HN thread was about. You know your six boxes, but you're nervous about the ones you don't.
Okay. Where does he go with it?
I have no idea.
He had me in the first half, and I'm like, "Okay," and then he just stopped.
He talked about the six boxes. Six
Yeah,
boxes. The
yeah,
six box model, the nine box model.
yeah, but he didn't finish his thought. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know,
Well,
man.
we got to keep costs down. Brock can't spend a lot of money over here. We can't let him run up the bill. And just got
Yeah.
black.
If he becomes more outspoken in future episodes, it's because we spent more money.
That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, one of the things, like, I wanted to bring to you and to our listeners as well is, like, you know look at an AI feature in one of your products you use, like, and try to actually use it. Like, is it, like, note where it's, like, falls short, where it actually helps, and like, gauge whether or not, if it disappeared, if it was even worth it in the first place. Like, are we just my point being is, are we adding features for no reason? Like, it's like, oh, this was a cool idea, let me build it.
Yeah,
And then we go off and build this thing, or we let Claude build it and all the workers or whatever build it. And you're like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm gonna keep moving on this other direction, like that kind of
yeah.
thing.
And think of it this way, man, like, even before AI was this hyped up feature thing, that would happen anyway with scope change, clients change their mind, stakeholders change their mind, end users change their mind, right? So that in and of itself, that scope is always changing. So even if you deliver a non-AI feature, that might flop anyway. And then you put AI on top of it, you might even put in less effort because you're relying on the AI itself to hype it up and be your kind of marketing tool. So it kind of and it's not to blame the designer or the developer. It's just to say that, you know, we put in some effort and we have to focus it around AI because that's the topic at hand. But we don't question if we can actually deliver that feature without using AI. Maybe that's a more practical approach. Um, I still just trying to think on like my personal note. I use AI all the time just for like quick advice or if I'm stuck on something or I just need that like second reassurance and then I want to check the source that it's pulling from to make sure it's reputable. That's kind of how I use it. But to your point earlier, if you were to ask me like if I'm going to use I don't know, Like, you sent me, what was it, Napster the other day? You know,
Yeah,
that
Napster is in
I
the
don't
AI
know. I don't
space.
know if I would use that, you know? It's cool. It's really cool. Is it gimmicky? I don't know. Like, the fact that that came back, you know, and now it's like AI.
What's crazy too is it's not even music. Like, I would think Napster would be like Sonu or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even music driven, it's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't
Like,
know.
you hire I think it was like 4 or 5 different, agents to help you do marketing or whatever task at hand. And it's kinda like, "Huh, that's interesting."
But is that so I didn't I might open the browser now. Like, is that what it is? So it doesn't just like you said, it doesn't just create music, it'll market it for you so you can use agents to do social promos, things like that. Is that what it does?
It's got like, if you watch the video, it's I can't remember all of them, but, like, one of them's a marketing specialist, one's I think a musician, one's something, like, and it all comes together. Like,
Yeah.
it's a weird it's a different approach for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
we
I was just kinda like, "What? Napster? Okay, okay."
yeah, you said that to me and I was thinking Napster, I was thinking LimeWire, I was thinking my old
Oh,
dated,
yeah.
you know, making sure I had to cover my IP address so I didn't get arrested for downloading music. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
those days. Yeah.
It's
Wow.
crazy, man. Yeah, meet Napster, like, it's like re-envision, and I think they're having a talk at Microsoft too, which is kind
Yeah.
of interesting as well.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, these tools are popping up left and right and just trying to see what sticks, at the end of the day, and, I mean, look at Anthropic, man. They have almost $1 trillion evaluation. Like,
Yeah.
they're about to go to IPO with almost $1 trillion evaluation.
Yeah. That's insane. And they just pushed like, what's their latest? It's
Opus
not
Ade.
4.8, which is, I think, faster response time. It ruled
Mhm,
out like certain variances that are, I think 4.7 was given errors with, I can't remember what I read about it, but
mhm.
I'm not using it because I'm scared it's going to suck my tokens. But,
Oh,
there's
it's like
that.
30x or something right now. It's, like,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I don't need it. I don't need it for Claude. But but that is like they're still dominating. I think Claude is still dominating, at least
For
my
sure.
opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthropic it's definitely dominating the developer space. I think they're starting to get into design as well with, like, the Claude Canvas stuff,
Yep.
all designer. I think that's pretty cool. That's gonna shake up some things between Figma and Replit and those kind of tools.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, man, it's just, constant pushing each other.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I am looking on the brighter side. Cutting through everything that we're going through right now with just the AI threat and then it being good or bad. I am seeing like some hope. I just think that people are kind of starting to realize what's going on. They're starting to realize that um, you know, AI is like, I know it's moving at a super fast pace, but I still kind of feel like people are craving that collaboration. And I'm hearing people go back to Figma more. I'm hearing people using VS Code more. I'm hearing people just avoiding the word vibe coding lately, at least in my space. So
Oh,
that's
interesting,
kind
man.
of reassuring. It's I don't know. Like we'll see where it takes us, but I each day that passes, I kind of feel a little bit better about it.
That's good, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, we'll continue to mess around with this and, talk through, different ways AI can help us or even hurt us in future episodes. So, like I asked last time, if anybody has any ideas, any of the listeners have any ideas, hit us up. You could actually reach out to us through Pixel Broccoli Podcast at Gmail or through our website, pixelbroccoli.com, or even leave us a comment on Spotify. So,
Yep. Sounds good.
any closing words, Evan?
No, just hopefully Brock has more of an opinion next time. We just got to give him more money.
Yeah, we'll put some more quarters in there.
Yeah, in the plot. Yeah. But
Yeah, yeah. Brock,
yeah.
you got any last words? Anything?
Oh, we are done? Okay, fine.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's a good closer. It's good talking to you, man.
Cool. See you next time.
All right, bye.